Every time we wake up in a slightly different world. It was this way yesterday, and today is something different. Tomorrow will be another different story. In order to keep up with it, you have to constantly learn, innovate, and, to be honest, change. And this is why we made this vlog. We are bringing the most inspirational people and forward-thinking people to inspire you, and basically to tell you one thing. The only constant thing in life is change. Today we have my friend Sayra here with me, and welcome to The Change.
Thank you.
We were preparing for this vlog for some time, and what I find interesting with you, there are a lot of changes in your life that happened to lead you to where you're now.
Correct.
And we have to tell at the beginning, you are disrupting retailing industry, not you, but your company, with you on top.
Correct.
And you are doing something that hasn't been done ever in the world.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
So let's start from the beginning. You were born in Istanbul.
Yes.
Okay, what is your favorite basketball team?
Beşiktaş. I also support Beşiktaş.
So that's good.
That's fine.
Okay, so you started in Istanbul, but then where you finished which kind of school and what was the education?
So basically,
let's start just briefly about it, and then.
No, of course. So basically, yes, my journey started from Istanbul, but I basically ended up in United States, predominantly Massachusetts. I completed my bachelor's in Worcester Polytech, Industrial Engineering, and then I did my master's in Harvard University.
We just recently had a guest from Stanford and now from Howard.
It's quite.
That's the guys I want to hang out with. Okay, so how's Howard? They say, and we discussed with Ivan, he was on Stanford, and he said that Stanford is a little bit smaller university, and with a, let's say, shorter history. The history of Harvard is 300 years or something like
Almost,
that.
yes.
Almost 300 years, yeah. So how was it studying the Harvard?
I think, and as an industrial engineer, I mean, from one traditional discipline, I'd say, to a bit of a different experience. The main differentiating factor is basically the type of education and the learning mechanism is a bit different. So I think that you learn from your peers and your fellow students just as much from your instructors. So and that is I think one of the main differentiating factors with being a Harvard scholar is that the notion of case study is so emphasized and so engraved in the DNA that it gives the unique capability to be able to basically tackle different business problems. It gives you the versatility to be able to apply your critical thinking to myriad of industries. So
it is true what they say, that school and university is one thing, and Harvard, Stanford, maybe a few other schools are a different thing because of the people you meet there. Either like networking with the students, as you say, peer-to-peer, or with some amazing lecturers. And people from the industry, of course, I'm sure.
Definitely, I couldn't speak for other Ivy schools, but definitely having a Harvard experience stands worlds apart from any other experience that.
Okay, can you tell me, Mark Zuckerberg, was he a good friend of yours?
No, I wouldn't say that.
How was good old Mark? Tell me.
I wouldn't say that, but yet again, it goes. It would go well to underline that even a Harvard dropout, basically displaying such amazing feat within the industry. So I think it's a quite unique experience, basically.
Yeah, amazing. So then you had some the education at Harvard was more towards finance.
Correct.
And then what was your first designation? What was your first company, and what did you do in it?
So I started working for Unilever. That was my first job.
Good company to start with. Do they scout you during the studies, or is it connected somehow?
It's not connected, but I would say that there's a lot of alumni within Unilever. That is one aspect that I want to underline. But as we talked about case studies and as we talked about basically learning with experience, I think Unilever holds tremendous value within that as well. So
Yep.
the management training program of Unilever was simply phenomenal, and it gives you the unique aspect to be able to interact with professionals from different industries of different experiences. Yet again, the beautiful part about Unilever is that the vast differences between categories. So you have a company that's present in personal care and home care, but then you also see presence in consumer goods such as ice cream even, which is a very interesting and fun part of Unilever.
But within the Unilever, were you more towards FMCG or more towards finance or something?
So basically, I started off there as what you would call as pool MT, and I was also given the unique opportunity to be able to work with the company CEO at the time within Turkey. So that was an amazing learning. I mean, to have a C-level interaction at the time. Then I was basically focused in finance, predominantly supply chain. It's definitely a very interesting and unique experience.
Okay, so this is one good experience for what you're doing now. What was the next step towards what you're doing now?
So
in order to disrupt the industry.
No, my experience with as a career is that it's a bit I would say not traditional, because after Unilever I started working for Groupon, which is a daily deal site for people that don't know. I was involved with Groupon Turkey's strategy.
And how was the strategy? Was it good strategy?
No, at the time I would say that Daily Deal had its challenges, because I think I learned the valuable lesson of relentlessness in terms of consumer service, because if you don't actually focus on your consumers, you basically destroy your own foundation. So that was actually one of the prevailing issues within the daily deal industry.
So that's the highest level of customer satisfaction and relation.
In certain areas, yes. In certain areas, unfortunately, no. And that's actually what actually triggered, I would say, the blood loss within daily deal industry. Because what happened is that people that actually attained the deals, they weren't given premium service. And entities that actually provided the deals, they were basically, I would say, over-exhausted. So if you're actually an entity that actually performed very, very well, and I'm not only saying Groupon, but basically in general in Turkey, this was one of the issues. Basically, you were over-exhausted. Your ad was basically overemphasized, and the deals that was sold triggered you to operate at overcapacity. So it was I think an extremely valuable experience, because it enables you to see so many different sectors all in once. Because when you look at a daily deal site, you actually have travel, you have products, you have experiences. It's just I'd say a wealth of experience to see how an entity like that performs.
Great. And then you move more towards FMCG and...
then I went back to FMCG. I worked for a Turkish conglomerate called Ülker. It's a $12 to $15 billion entity, operating brands like Godiva, McVitie's, Jaffa Cakes, so along with the Ülker brand itself, of course. So I first started there within the joint venture department, because we had some sizable joint venture investments. Then I built a incubation center for the innovation commercialization company.
What was some kind of products that you did there?
So we actually did create some interesting projects. One was through our business pain gathering sessions. We actually created a virtual reality-based prototyping solution.
Prototype solution for FMCG? For
FMCG, that is correct. So one of the main issues regarding product launches is basically team alignment. It costs time and it costs money. So for an entity to be able to basically create a product, you basically have to have sign-offs from your sales to marketing to R&D. And trying to do that with I would say analog solutions is quite challenging. So what we have done is that we basically took the entire product library and we created a VR-based simulation where you can basically customize the shape and size of the product, and then attain, I would say,
You see
kind
it,
of,
how it will.
yeah, and you can even display it on the shelf. So that was
Yeah,
quite
and
interesting.
so they're
Yeah.
probably using it still. I would
Yeah,
say,
and I forgot the name, but that actually won an award within the project
Innovative
itself also.
award,
Yeah, the project itself also won
Amazing.
an innovation. And the second one was, to this day, I think it was a remarkable capability. Basically, image recognition by in terms of on-shelf availability. So
Okay.
image recognition and processing in terms of on-shelf availability. So the capability to be able to take a picture of the shelf and then understand which product is there, which product is supposed to be there, and
Mhm.
if the product is in accordance with planograms, so planogram adherence as well. So
Mhm.
and along with that, remarkable part was the capability itself.
I would say that all the experiences that you gather, starting from Harvard and Unilever and Ulker and all the other companies, brought you to this point. Is there any other thing that you what was in between Ulker and what you're doing right now? Basically, you came here with Ulker, or
Yes,
you were
so
you were handling this region.
Yeah. So I was. I mean, the reason that I came here, basically, I was offered a position within Godiva to head up the strategy of GCC for the Godiva chocolate here, and it was a remarkable experience. I worked with some extremely talented people, and innovation and strategy. They're my passion. So any I would say any endeavor that I undertake, if it has a certain component of innovation or strategy, I'm quite excited about it. So this was also
as your position and the things that you did in Ulker were amazing. The thing that you're working on now has to be some gigantic change and disruption of the industry, I would say.
I would say that if and this might sound bold, but we are going to be actually become a pioneer within shopping mall industry, because our vision is bold, and then our strategy is sound, and we hope that we are going to make some tremendous changes.
Okay, so we were talking about, so you moved to States, then you moved back to Turkey, then from Turkey you moved to Middle East, which is, let's say, near, but still it's a change, and all the changes in your business were followed by changes in your life and everything. But this, I would say that no matter you didn't change the country, you were still in the United Arab Emirates, and I would say that, and most of us would say that this country is really, if you want to be pioneering something, if you want to be the first, the tallest, the fastest, the biggest, this country is for it. I will try to explain basically what you're doing, but you will explain it much better. But I will try to explain so the viewers really understand what we are talking about. So basically, you said you want to disrupt, your company wants to disrupt the mall industry, yeah? Retail industry, and you will connect something that is for sure now leading the world's industries, all the industries, is e-commerce and retail as it was in 20th and beginning of 21st century. So basically we have malls now, very advanced malls, forward-thinking malls, whatever. But this mall, can we say the name?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, Reem Mall,
Yeah.
Reem Island in Abu Dhabi, will be the one to merge the best of both sides, I would say.
To an extent, yes. To an extent,
Okay.
yes.
So
There is, I think.
now you can say in your words. Yeah, but I just wanted to...
I think the main differentiating point between Reem and other entities is that Reem, rather than being a traditional landlord, will become an overarching entity that connects the consumer with retailer. To us, is basically focusing on the interaction between consumer and retailer and perfecting it.
Mm-hmm.
and we basically see tremendous value in terms of solving our consumer pains, solving our retailer pains, and ensuring that we deploy critical assets for the consumer and retailer to actually establish a relationship that can be strengthened through our assets and through our contribution. To that effect, what we have done is that we have actually designated 3 objectives. The number 1 is basically amalgamation of e-commerce with brick and mortar.
That's merging the
E-commerce
Amazon
with
with Dubai Mall.
I would say
Something like that.
I would say similar to that.
People are not in the retail industry.
No.
So we have to keep it simple. Is it something like that? So let's not give names. So e-commerce with some traditional mall. That's first thing.
Precisely that. And what we see within that is we have identified within e-commerce the biggest pain for the consumer as well as the service provider, the e-commerce entity itself, is basically last mile delivery. So you basically order a product, and the main differentiating factor between online and offline is that with offline you pay it and you get it right away.
Yeah.
Right? So basically we looked at it and we said, rather than seeing online or e-commerce as a threat, we see that as actually an advantage, where we can actually use that platform to enhance the experience. So what we have done is that we're actually going to build an on-premise connected logistics hub within Reem Mall for the sole purpose of e-commerce fulfillment. Our understanding of e-commerce is that we are not going to manage a marketplace, but what we are going to do is that for the entities that actually are within Reem Mall, we are actually going to empower them and enable them in terms of e-commerce fulfillment. So if you were to order a product from a tenant within Reem Mall, our pledge is basically to pick that product from store and deliver it to your door, as easy as delivering the pizza, which is basically under 30 minutes within Abu Dhabi trade area.
Oh, so it's basically also not only disruption of the retail mall industry, but also disruption of the e-commerce industry, because we don't have now possibility to order something and get it in half an hour or an hour.
Well, I mean, per se, when we order food, we get it. But rightfully, like you said, when it comes to other products, we feel that there's a disconnect. And the main reason that's happening is that, yet again, within the last mile delivery, the capabilities for last mile delivery, they are not usually in the urban area. They're basically outside of the city. So we are basically going to tackle that. And speaking of last mile delivery, one of the main differentiating factors of Reem Mall is basically that one of our main partners is Agility, which is a logistics hub, which is a logistics behemoth. So the notion that we offer is that with a single investment in Reem Mall, we not only open the door of UAE e-commerce, but basically GCC e-commerce through our connected fulfillment centers all over GCC.
Amazing. So from a customer journey point of view, the mall will look like any other mall. It will be very nice.
because that is why, like before we began the discussion, I said with Reem, it doesn't do justice to call it a mall, because it's so much more. I mean, even with physical assets, I mean, you're looking at the world's largest snow park within Reem Mall.
Ski slope and everything.
And basically,
I'm huge. I love skiing. So there will be a ski slope.
Yes, and it's basically a quite ostentatious part of Reem Mall.
Mm-hmm.
So as I said, I mean, when we look at our experience capabilities, also Reem has actually so much to offer. I mean, we were talking about an amazing layout where you have tremendous access to parking. The location is phenomenal. It's in downtown Abu Dhabi. Yet again, the largest snow park basically in the world. And on top of that, these game-changing digital capabilities that revolve around our objectives, basically. So one of the objectives, that's in addition to the amalgamation of e-commerce with brick and mortar, is basically building a community through the synchronization of digital and offline assets. So to that effect, we are actually deploying the Everything app. And within Everything app, we are actually going to provide this one app, this comprehensive solution to the consumer, where we have basically targeted the consumer pains of visiting a shopping mall, from augmented reality support to turn-by-turn navigation to gamified loyalty to smart parking, where you will never lose your car, where we also utilize that capability for digitizing valet parking. To hands-free shopping, where you basically will not carry shopping bags. We enable you to basically order a courier from our logistics hub, where we will store those bags for you until your shopping is complete. So these capabilities that we know will actually build a community within the mall.
Okay, so people will be there for shopping, for fun, for just going out, and as you said, with the help of technology, there you will combine the advantages of one and another. You can.
We will not only combine, but we will actually enhance.
Enhance.
So
both.
And basically the last objective is basically understanding consumer behavior and predicting consumer behavior through our
and
data.
If the mall will be starting, the plan is in the Q4 the 2020.
Yes.
You are not talking with the retailers now about it, and
we are. We actually as we were developing our strategy, we actually reached out to some of our retailers, and there was tremendous interest from them.
What is their reaction? That's interesting.
So it was quite refreshing and remarkable because I think in every aspect of the strategy itself, there was tremendous enthusiasm.
Sure.
One anecdote to share is basically one of the retailers. They said it is amazing to actually have one mall that can provide us so much insight with the consumers and the consumer behavior, basically.
Today, everything is about data.
Yeah, 100%.
Everything, getting the data, analyzing the data, making the probably you will know the customer better than customer know himself.
Well, the idea is of course definitely not in an invasive way, but to actually provide the necessary insight for the retailer to provide the best service to the consumer.
And to help consumer with the efficiency of the
precisely.
shopping.
So when you're actually in a mall, and if it's a mall that you frequent, I think in this day and age it would be expected for that mall to understand what you like, what you don't like, and basically underline or showcase your wishes or your basically needs based on you. And I think
personalized mall experience.
I would say that, and personalized marketing, personalized promotions, personalized content. So even within the Everything
That's where
app,
we jump in.
even within Everything app, we are basically designing the capability that the app basically arranges itself based on the frequented functionalities. So I think Reem Mall will not only be an entity that provides the best consumer experience, but Reem Mall will be the entity that provides the best insight, not only from a retailer level, but also in terms of consumer level, because we feel that it's vice versa.
Oh, for sure, both ends. That's the key of any success. Win. It will be with this Everything app. It will be kind of like you are having your best friend, which knows you better than you know yourself.
I would say that.
Like
it's going to be
helping you through whatever you want, food or experience or amusement park or whatever. But basically, it's help for the customers, and of course it's help for the retailers. Do you see this as a possibility of franchising it and maybe do you think it's possible to let's say improve existing malls to
It could be, but I think what we're going to first focus is basically perfecting this with remall, and it's that's always a possibility. But what I love about Amazon is that they actually have a relentless approach towards consumer issues. So for us to be able to perfect this ecosystem, I think within the DNA that will be our code, where we will have a relentless focus in terms of understanding consumer issues as well as retailer issues, and basically we see it as our primary mission to alleviate those pains, to resolve those issues.
We are talking about technically most advanced mall in the whole world, and yet I'm sure that the future holds some very interesting things also, and I'm sure that you thought about what is the next step for this kind of. What would be some just maybe one storyline that could develop?
I'm from a personal perspective, of course,
Yeah.
I can't say for remall,
Yeah.
but from a personal perspective, I'm very excited about what 5G is going to bring into our lives, and the notion of I'm basically expecting a revolution of IoT, and in an environment where we see virtually zero latency, the capability to be able to upload and download massive amounts of data, I think that's going to impact our lives in a very positive way, in a tremendous way. And I'm confident that the notion of data, the notion of analytics, and the notion of basically understanding each other, understanding the community through data, will truly be realized in that era. So I can't wait for I would say the deployment
the
of
future
5G.
to come.
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, we had one of our vlogs was from Barcelona Mobile World Congress, the biggest mobile congress in the world, and everybody spoke about 5G. Everybody, it's so amazing. Okay, we had GSM, then we have 2 GSM, so it became like a standard. And then how can something that is mostly used for mobile phones, like transfer of data, wireless transfer of data, help us so much? And then, as you said, zero latency, amounts of data, and then with some other advances, the things will definitely the life will become even easier, than it is now. That's for sure. Do you think that I think that people in UAE, they are ready for innovation and they are always open to innovation? Do you see people changing towards this concept that you are developing now? Do you see people?
I'm seeing the urgency, though I have to note that we basically need entities such as yourself more than usual, because I think the one element that is missing, because from a government perspective, I'm basically in awe of the vision, because it's far and few to actually see a government that actually embedded the notion of artificial intelligence as a unit. I find that tremendous. I think from an ecosystem perspective, I find UAE as a quite fertile ground for innovation and drive to change. And one of the areas that I see is basically the government. And when we look at UAE government, having the capability of deploying an artificial intelligence unit is tremendous. Basically, it's an amazing vision. So I think the vision is there, the drive is there, I think the part that is needed is basically getting together, sitting down, interacting with each other, basically creating this ecosystem of gathering insight, gathering problems, because I think the initiation of innovation, as you would also attest, is basically identification of problems. So having these business pain gathering sessions on industry, on sub-industry, I think it would hold tremendous value. But basically we need more guys like you. So.
Yeah. No, thank you. The thing is that whether we had a expert for sustainability and ecology, we had an expert for computers and advertising, we had an expert in many areas, and all comes down, all conversations leads us towards data and analyzing and putting this data into work.
Mm-hmm.
There is so much space in this area to improve every industry, I would say.
No, definitely, and I think one of the areas that entities should focus on is that rather than focusing on the tool or the technology, I would say it's the modus operandi that counts. So having the right flow, having the right process, basically having the charter. So even when you look at human body, we are composed of DNA, which is actually the code. So it first starts with the code. So it's all I see it imperative that as entities we have to first come up with the code. And let's say, like for instance in Ream Mall, before we focused on the technologies, the assets, the pains, the consumer journeys, we said we are not going to be a traditional landlord, but we are going to transform into an overarching entity that connects the consumer to the retailer. So be it big data, be it apps, be it e-commerce, what lies at the heart of our digital innovation program, or the entity itself, to do justice to it, is basically understanding the relationship, perfecting the relationship, and ensuring that we become relentless in terms of the issues that block that.
Basically, you're creating a platform,
an ecosystem. Yes,
for
correct.
For more and more innovation to come.
Yeah, an ecosystem. Correct.
Yeah. And I'm sure that there are a lot of people that believe in this project, but there are a lot of people that are like always doubting, because it's always when the change is there, that there is always a fright. What will happen, why, how it will happen, and so on. And as I can tell from your story, you are looking at it from a positive and optimistic perspective, but in the core, it is a scary thing, because you are really disrupting the industry that is so developed and on one side, and the richest industry in the world, which is e-commerce. It has to be. You have some what we are doing. It's a big thing.
But honestly,
my question is towards the.
No, I get it. Honestly, I mean, when you look at the point of origin of e-commerce, and for the sake of argument, let's look at Amazon. So imagine a professional that actually leaves his cushy iBanking job, investment banking job, to sell books in an era where computing everywhere is so far away. You're dealing with dial-up modems. Faxes are still in play. I mean, goodness, we didn't have iPhones at the time, right? So there was actually a certain leap of faith, and there was actually Mr. Bezos saw that as actually a blue ocean opportunity, and he took a step. But as he took a step, and I find this anecdote remarkable. To this day, if you enter www.relentless.com, it relays you to Amazon.com. So he actually registered the domain name Relentless.
Yeah.
And yet again, if as an entity, if you are relentless in terms of understanding consumer issues, understanding the issues of the people that you serve, I actually don't see that scary, because yet again, it's the code. It's the code that counts. And if you actually can walk the walk and talk the talk, and stay true to that code, I see very little reason not to accomplish what's needed.
Having said that, with all your experience and what you did before and what the idea is behind this, I think that we cannot wait, and let's do this. When the mall is open, we will still do this show.
Of course.
Let's do one show within the mall to explain
course.
all the details. That will be very, very interesting.
My pleasure.
Thank you very much for coming, and thank you very much for your time and inspirational talk that we had. I hope that you realized what this show is about. This show is about the change, and this change in retail industry is going to be very big. And I'm sure that there are some ideas like this, but this will until 2020. This will be definitely a pioneering one, and when you are first, then that's the good start to spread the good idea around the globe. And I see this as a global project, 100% sure. If something if said from media person, means to you, that I really see this as as amazing opportunity. Thank you very much for coming. And for you, if you have to do one change, if you didn't like and subscribe to this channel, please do it now, because more stories like this, more innovative stories, and more stories about the change will come. Why we talk about change? Because the change is the only constant thing in life, and everybody is afraid of change. But some people are bold enough, and some people are strong enough to take this leap, and this is what push our world forward. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for your time. Please like and subscribe, and see you in another endeavor of the change.